have such sights to show you.
Near dark. Pray for daylight.
I heard about Near Dark like a lot in terms of its quality and how much people love it. And I'm glad I chose it for this Scary Mania because this one was really good. And to help me talk about it is someone who I've wanted to have on the channel for quite a while. She's from Why We Love Horror. She's a former singles and teams champion. Can confirm she beat me for the latter. It's Abby Brooks. Abby, welcome. Thank you.
Hello. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to do this.
Yeah, so Near Dark was directed by Catherine Bigelow. We all know who she is. Directed Point Break, Zero Dark 30, among many others. And it tells the story of a young man who gets bitten by a vampire. But, well, that's not where it ends for him. He basically is reluctantly forced into this group of traveling vampires. He's, I guess, a vagabond of sorts against his will. And he tries to find ways to get out of it, but they're not letting him go so easily. So, Abby, was this your first time watching it like me, or had you seen this one before?
No, I have never seen this movie. I have many blind spots, even in horror, and this is definitely one of them. It's a movie that I had also heard about, and I had heard great things. I haven't seen a ton of Catherine Bigelow's movies. I maybe have seen one other movie of hers. But I had really heard great things about it. And I also simultaneously didn't even really know what the plot was, honestly, going in. So it was a very blind watch for me. But ultimately, I'm very glad that I picked this movie.
Yeah, double blind, if you will. But the thing that I found interesting is that Catherine Bigelow, this movie is almost shot entirely in the dark. I think there are like 2, 3, 4 scenes that take place in the daylight. But throughout the movie, it takes place entirely in the dark. Like you can count the number of daylight scenes on one hand.
Yep.
And the sunlight is treated like the vampire legend is that they can't be in the sunlight because it burns them. Well, here, it not only burns them, but the burns like stay there. It's really scary. Like the sunlight is almost treated like a horror villain in its own right, for lack of a better word.
Oh yeah, for sure. No, I think the one particular scene that's in the daylight that I thought was pretty cool is like the first time that you actually see what happens which it's a vampire movie. I don't think they ever actually use the word vampire, but I guess that's essentially what they are. But it's the main character in the beginning, and it's the first time that we're in the daylight and you see him kind of running through the desert and he starts smoking up. And you're kind of just wondering like, oh, like what's kind of going on here? And you start to see him burning. I thought that was a pretty cool, well done scene. And it's also, it's one of the only real distinguishing factors besides the fact that these vampires, bite other people, but that's really one of the only things that this distinguishes them into being these creatures, is that they can't be out in the sunlight or they explode or burst into flames.
Usually with vampire stuff, you got like garlic or crosses or stuff like that. But
yeah, there's none of that.
No, and like you said, they're not even called vampires to the best of my ability. I don't know if that was a deliberate choice or if that was just an implication, but I did find that interesting. The main character is played by Adrian Pasdar, who is someone who has had a pretty good career. He was in Top Gun, Carlito's Way. He was most recently in The Exorcism, that one with Russell Crowe that nobody liked.
One of those Exorcist movies.
But I thought he did really good. But the biggest stars were Lance Henriksen as the main bad vampire, Jesse Hooker, and Bill Paxton, rest in peace. I think both of those two they were just great. I mean, sure, imagine there was a connection there because James Cameron, Catherine Bigelow, there was definitely a connection there. But
Mhm.
Lance Henriksen especially was really scary to me. Like especially
Mhm.
realizing, oh, he's older than the Civil War. That's
Mhm.
terrifying.
Mhm. He's also between the two of those guys, I feel like he, at least from what I remember, he seems to be like the more like reserved, scary kind of guy, kind of villain, if you will, in this movie, which I really like that. And then you have kind of the opposite in the Bill Paxton vampire, who's just like loud, crazy, like just wants to mess around with, especially like in particular that bar scene, just wanting to like cause trouble basically.
Mhm.
I just like those two like polar opposite personalities, and I particularly like Bill Paxton. At first I didn't actually recognize him at first, and then I was like, oh
Mm.
wait, that's him.
There was a part of me that was like, is this? And then I was like, oh, look at the poster. I'm like, oh yeah, this is definitely him.
Yep.
Because the
Yep.
poster, for years and years, I had seen this. I'm like, what is even this movie about? I had no
Right.
like idea this was like vampire related because
Hmm.
the posters, and I'll put it on screen here, but
Hmm.
basically it's Bill Paxton. He's charred. He's got bullet holes going through him.
Hmm.
It's a striking poster. Like the poster's
Hmm.
awesome, but you would
Yeah.
never glean vampires from this,
Mm-mm.
which is just it's pretty interesting that they went that route.
Yeah, I thought just by the look of the poster, like the one with Bill Paxton, I thought it was like monsters or like I'm not really sure, honestly. That's yeah, I wouldn't have guessed vampires either.
I was guessing something related to drugs, but I guess it's kind of
Mm.
a metaphor of what they're going for here. Because I picked up
Mhm.
on this too, is that in a way, it's kind of like the main character kind of becomes a drug addict. Like, I
Mhm.
mean, he gets
Yeah.
bitten by a vampire in the context of the story, but I think just as a broader message, I mean, he does become recluse from his family, not by choice. He becomes
Mhm.
addicted to he becomes addicted. And I
Yep.
could be looking way too deep into it. I
Mhm.
sometimes do that, but that's what I picked up from it anyway.
No, I could certainly see that point of view. I mean, even with his the female love interest, like him, like she kind of like he kind of feeds off of her at one point, almost like an addict in a way, like feeding off of her blood or whatever it is that um the vampires have. I think there's like a whole couple of scenes where like she kind of helps him out in that way. Also the fact that they need to kill to stay alive. I think that kind of lends to that conversation as well. The main character is kind of being pressured into, having to make his first kill to be able to stay with this group to, you know, hang with them essentially. I think that all kind of goes into that conversation.
There's definitely it may the main female lead's definitely an enabler. Like I picked
Mhm,
up on that quite a bit.
mhm,
Like
mhm,
they definitely are like you point. They're working off of each other, but she is
mhm,
definitely like she definitely controls him at a certain point.
mhm, mhm. Yeah. No, I definitely see that. And I also like I also really did like their relationship too. I mean, I wouldn't say that this movie is like there's like a little bit of romance in it, I guess, but I did like their relationship in a weird way also.
Yeah. But though another thing that I did notice was how uncomfortable some of the sequences were, and I think it was by design. Like you mentioned, the bar scene, and
Mhm.
then just how they treat the main character of the group. This movie will legit make you feel really, really sad for the main guy, but just generally like very uncomfortable. It's like the horror kind of comes from you're stuck with these people and you can't get out. Kind of
Yep.
similar to what the main guy is going through. So
Yep.
in terms of that, this was a great success.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, no. I mean, again, like all of the actors in that main group did such a good job of just, making you feel, like you said, uncomfortable in all of the situations. Again, they're just kind of, especially in that bar scene, just kind of there to just rile up trouble um, for everybody, honestly. Um, And yeah, I think they all just do a really good job of making you feel that way.
It's kind of a nihilistic worldview, but like in reverse. It was like, well, we can't die, so what are we
Mhm.
gonna do?
You might as well just cause trouble, I guess. Yeah, no, I definitely see that.
But despite how uncomfortable some of the sequences are, this movie moves. Like the pacing in
Mhm.
this is just great. It's
Mhm.
94 minutes long. And like I was watching this on my computer and I check like how long it is. I'm like, there's like
Mhm.
30 minutes left. I just started this.
Yep.
So
Yep.
this movie like starts and you're pretty much stuck with these people for like I think maybe 2 days, 2.5
Yeah.
days, if I had to venture a guess. It just
Mhm.
doesn't it grabs you and it doesn't let you go. And I know that sounds very movie trailer-esque, but that's what I can describe it. Like you're stuck here and it just you can't get out.
Yeah, and I mean, even just right from the beginning, I feel like you really just kind of jump right in. Like I guess there's maybe like a time, well, I don't even want to say that there was any like exposition in the beginning. Like you meet your two main characters. Um he gets turned by her and then you're just kind of like right in it. Like the group kind of just picks him up and then again, you're just going kind of from scene to scene. Um and they're all very interesting too. Um, every scene that you go to. I also liked um when you after the bar scene, I think it was, then they end up at like a hotel or something like that. And then there's the whole scene with like the younger vampire, and then they meet up with his family. So it just kind of goes from each, I don't know what the right term is, just each situation to the next, where you kind of think he's going to get out of it, and then they're kind of pulling him right back in.
Yeah.
I like that a lot.
One more element I did want to bring up before I forget is I wanted to shout out Tim Thomerson, who plays the main character's dad. He's great.
Mm.
Like he
Mhm,
goes after him. He even gives him a blood transfusion, which
mhm.
I'm not sure that's how vampirism actually works, but it's still great. Like the scene where he picks up his son and he's like in the back and he's like, I gotta take you to a hospital. I can't go to a hospital. And like he sticks his arm out,
Mhm,
burns himself to prove that he can't like go to a normal hospital.
mhm,
And he's like, we got to do a blood transfusion. And just that whole scene, it's so great. Like Tim
mhm,
Thomerson is someone I inadvertently covered earlier this month when I covered Fade to Black. He was the
mhm,
therapist that was hired on by the police to
mhm,
kind of to diagnose what all was going on with Eric in that movie. But
mhm,
here he plays the main character's dad, and he's a part of this movie that I don't think it's talked about nearly enough. He's great.
mhm. No, I think the dad is also very great. I will say that was my only complaint maybe about this movie, and it's not even with the guy's performance. Um, I don't it's not really explained how they came to the idea of getting a blood transfusion and how that would be helpful, or how the dad even knows how to do it. There's not a whole lot, and I guess this could be a positive and a negative. There's not a whole lot of like background or like knowledge about these. Well, I guess we kind of covered it when, it's the only thing we really know is that they can't go out in the sun. Is there anything else that weakens them? Is there, any other weaknesses? So just the fact that he was like, oh, I need a blood transfusion, that's exactly what I need right now, and then he's able to not be a vampire anymore. I thought that was a little like, where did that come
Convenient.
from?
Like when I covered Fright Night earlier this month, that was about as traditional a vampire as you can get. Like
Mhm,
garlic crosses, stake through
mhm,
the heart to kill him. Like they can't see themselves in a mirror. Like to the letter. Like just take Dracula, put him in
mhm,
suburbia. That's Fright
mhm,
Night. But
mhm,
here, it's very fast and loose with the
mhm.
mythos. And I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. But to
Right.
your point, it's like, wait, then why aren't they giving more blood transfusions? Is that like something
Right.
they didn't do in the 1800s or
Right.
whenever Dracula takes place? I have
Right.
to know
Right.
this now.
And I guess I'm not saying I don't need to know like everything. I don't need everything to be like spoon fed to me. But I think again, like easy is like a good word. It's like, oh, that was just easy of a thing to think of, like a blood transfusion, and oh, that's it. Again, only complaint was that. But again, I kind of like that there's a little bit of an ambiguity as well. That kind of makes this crew a little bit more interesting as well, I think.
I agree. And I think to kind of round things off,
Mm-hmm.
Catherine Bigelow has only directed one horror movie in her career, which is this one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would have assumed she would have directed more, but I just took a look at her letterboxd, and the only one that's tagged as horror is
Mm-hmm.
this one. It's a bit of a shame because she is honestly really good at it. I mean, she's still active. She just directed House Full of Dynamite or House of Dynamite. I'm not
Okay.
sure of the title there. I have not seen it, but I've heard good things.
Mm-hmm.
Point is, she's still active and she's still going.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope she does another horror movie, like not in the near future, but someday, because she's scarily really good at it.
Yeah. No, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I just looked at her filmography on Letterboxd. I've seen The Hurt Locker, and I guess you could kind of argue The Hurt Locker, and maybe I've seen Zero Dark 30. I feel like these war movies kind of all blend together sometimes for me. But you could also argue the directing a war movie, there's a little bit of horror to that as well. So see, I would love to see a more traditional horror from her also.
Yeah, I mean, Neon A24, give her a call. I'm sure she's available. That's all I will say, and I'll leave it at that. But what did you all think of Near Dark if you've seen it? Go out and see it. I don't know if I'd call it a hidden gem, but I don't think it's anywhere streaming that I'm aware of, which is a bit of a shame. But let us know what you thought of it in the comments. We'd love to read what you have to say. And Abby, thank you so much for joining me. I really did appreciate it very much. You're over at Why We Love Horror. You, John, and Aaron talk about horror quite a bit. I'll put the link to the channel down below, like I'll do for when I discussed Psycho 3 with Aaron. But do you all have anything coming up?
Trying to think. I know we're still doing trivia matches every week. I will be returning soon to trivia, which I'm super excited about. But no, we're still just reviewing
I'm very
movies.
nervous about, but that's unrelated.
We're reviewing stuff weekly. Aaron and John are still doing the Letterbox Challenge. All the other shows that we have over there. Yeah, check us out.
Yep, like I said, link below. Go give them a subscribe over there. I'm over there playing trivia sometimes, so to see me sometimes on occasion. And all the others that play, they're doing great.